Okay, what's going on, guys? Thank you for finding me over here on the Unbiased Sports Network YouTube channel from the Gridiron Media page. Thank you for coming over here. Appreciate it. We're continuing to build and build and build, and we'll continue to build. And I may even make a baseball channel as well. I think that's just want to give you guys a heads up. In the future, we got some mainly Yankee fans. We got some Mets fans in this group. My background is actually in baseball. I worked in Major League Baseball. I worked for a couple of Major League teams and player development. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. I'm probably going to make a baseball channel as well. And once the baseball season rolls around, I'll start doing news updates and all that. Don't have anything specific just yet, but want to give you guys a heads up. So thank you again for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Now let's get into some Giants news. Okay, so we know that Odell met with the Giants yesterday. We know he had dinner the night before with Dable and the Giants brass. Jordan and I put this out this morning that Odell wants to be a Giant. And we know that he is close with Barkley. We know he's close with Shepard. But those are two guys we don't necessarily know for certain if they'll be on the roster next season. Barkley's a free agent. Shepard's been, he's dealt with a bunch of injuries, unfortunately. And we don't know specifically if he's going to remain with the team. They may move in another direction just because he hasn't been healthy. We also know that the Odell contract situation isn't just for this season. He's not going to be, the dominant playmaker right off the bat. He hasn't played. He hasn't had a training camp. He hasn't had any of this. And that's kind of what he's pointing to in this thread. Odell is essentially just, hopping right into practice and then a game, right? Whenever he does decide to sign. So you are probably not going to get much out of him this season. It's going to be more of a next year and then the year after, that kind of thing. And so it comes down to money, and it comes down to being patient in a way, because as much as the Giants need a wide receiver one right now, signing him really is more of a long-term kind of thing. Not too long-term, not 5 years, but more of a next year and then the year after that. And you have to consider this. The current situation with the Giants going into next season alone, you have Wan'Dale Robinson, who tore his ACL. So we don't exactly know when he'll be back. We know that Darius Slayton's a free agent. We know that Kenny Golladay probably won't be on the Giants. I think that's a fair assessment to make. And then you have a bunch of guys that are filling out the roster right now that we, don't necessarily know if they'll be on the roster either. The Marcus Johnsons, the David Sills, the Richie James, those guys. So you're going to go into week one of next season with, at this point, nobody. I mean, if you're talking about in terms of people who are under contract currently, nobody, really. Nobody in terms of a starting wide receiver one, wide receiver two, starting caliber players. We don't really know when Wan'Dale Robinson will be back, and that's kind of the point I'm making. So, obviously they can still re-sign Darius Slayton. But even then, there's still kind of, there is a void at the starting wide receiver position. Clearly, there is some long-term thinking behind this, and we'll see how this plays out. But just kind of want to put that out there in terms of what I'm seeing, and what I'm hearing, and what I'm reading. That this seems more like a long-term thing than just a run for the playoffs kind of move. Now let's get into some. Actually, this is another tweet from Art Stapleton in terms of Sterling Shepard talking to Odell in the locker room. And so again, they're very close. Shepard, Barkley, OBJ, they're very close. And I think that's kind of what's being pointed out here, is that they were like on FaceTime, or they were on a video call. He made a joke about the media being there, and then he kind of found another spot to talk. Let's get into some injury news. This is a huge game for the Giants. We all know that, right? Sitting where they are in the wild card standings, playing a division rival who is also trying to kind of unseat them for their seed in the wild card standings. Azeez Ojulari, Bellinger, Neal, Moreau, Feliciano, Jefferson are all expected to be back this week, which is huge for the Giants. Starting caliber players back for the Giants. Now let's also look at the injury report. Josh Azudu's out. We know Adori's out. Shane Lemieux is also out. That we know for certain. And then a bunch of other guys expected to play. Most of these guys are expected to play.